Relevant to Earth affairs, Morgan cut in again now regarding Dr. Reeves. You will release her to my custody. Immediately. Vrekkanar felt the situation spiraling beyond his control. He needed to reassert authority to gain time to contact Imperial Command. Admiral Morgan, Dr. Reeves stands accused of treason against the Empire. She will face trial as Imperial law demands. Morgan's expression didn't change, but something dangerous flickered in her eyes. Commander, perhaps. I wasn't clear. We are no longer bound. By Imperial law, Dr. Reeves is a citizen of Earth and will be returned to our custody. You have 30 minutes to comply or... What? Admiral Vrekkanar demanded, his anger overriding his caution. Morgan's lips curved in a cold smile. Or we will come get her. Ourselves and Commander, we won't knock first. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving Vrekkanar staring at the image of the EDF retribution hovering menacingly in space. Sir Security Chief Grot ventured after a moment of stunned silence. Your orders? Why? Vrekkanar's mind raced. If the humans truly had dissolved their protectorate status, an unprecedented move. Then the situation was far more complicated than a simple case of treason. But surrendering Dr. Reeves without Imperial authorization would... Better election of duty. Contact Imperial Command, he ordered. Priority 1, we need instructions, sir. Communications Officer Thex replied hesitantly. Imperial protocols suggest that in situations where communication with Command is not immediately possible, the ranking officer should take actions to preserve Imperial assets and authority. I'm aware of the protocols, Officer Vrekkanar snapped. But this situation requires Sir Sensor. Officer Patel interrupted. 2 more vessels just emerged from subspace. They are human warships as well. Vrekkanar rushed to the view screen. Sure enough, 2 additional vessels had appeared flanking the retribution. Their designs varied slightly, but their size and obvious military purpose were unmistakable designations. He demanded a vengeance and EDF reckoning. Fleck reported, her voice quavering slightly. The name sent a chill through Vrekkanar's body. Those weren't the names of exploration vessels or diplomatic ships. They were names of war, sir. Spoke again, Administrator. Fletcher is requesting to speak with you from the surface. Vrekkanar hesitated. The colony administrator might provide valuable insight into what was happening. Put him through. Fletcher's face appeared on screen. Gone was the nervous differential. Human Vrekkanar had come to expect in his place was a man whose expression held grim satisfaction. Commander, Fletcher said, without preamble. I assume you have met Admiral Morgan. What is the meaning of General Frost's shocking revelation? This administrator, Vrekkanar demanded. Your people have violated the treaty. The consequences will be severe. Fletcher actually laughed, a short, harsh sound, entirely devoid of humor. The treaty became void the moment you arrested Dr. Reeves, Commander. You see, we have been waiting for this. Waiting, Vix. Aaron repeated, confusion momentarily overriding his anger for the Empire to show its true nature. Fletcher explained, for 20 years, we have played the obedient protectorate. We have endured your restrictions, your inspections, your thinly veiled contempt, all while we prepared for what exactly? Vrekkanar asked, though a growing sense of dread suggested he already knew the answer. For independence. Fletcher stated simply, Earth never intended to remain a protectorate forever, Commander. We accepted the Empire's terms because we needed time to build our forces, study your technology, establish our colonies. Time to ensure that when we finally stood up, we couldn't be easily knocked down again, Vic. Saren's mind reeled at the implications. You are insane. The Empire spans 17. Urso Zero-Star Systems. Earth is one world with a handful of colonies, quality over quantity. Commander Fletcher replied with a thin smile. You might want to check your long-range sensors. About now, almost against his will. Vrekkanar turned to PLE report. The sensor officer's facial ridges had paled to an alarming shade of gray. Sir, we are detecting subspace disturbances throughout the sector. Multiple signatures, at least 30 vessels emerging at strategic points throughout the system. 30. Vrekkanar whispered. In disbelief, the first wave. Fletcher confirmed from the view screen. Admiral Morgan commands the 7th Fleet. Our intelligence suggests it will take approximately 6 hours for your nearest battle group to respond. By then, the situation here will be settled for the first time in his career. Vrekkanar felt genuine fear. This wasn't a simple colonial uprising or a minor treaty violation. This was a coordinated military operation, years in the planning. You can't possibly believe you will succeed, he said, struggling to keep his voice steady. The Empire will crush your rebellion, your homeworld will be sterilized. Fletcher's expression hardened. Perhaps, but we have calculated those odds carefully. Commander, tell me how many Imperial warships are stationed within immediate response range of Earth? Vrekkanar didn't answer. But the truth was gling. The Empire had never considered humans a serious military threat. Earth's defensive perimeter was monitored by a token force primarily to prevent smuggling and unauthorized technological development. Now Fletcher continued, regarding Dr. Reeves, you will release her to Admiral Morgan's custody immediately. Vrekkanar's tentacles curled with rage, and if I refuse, then Admiral Morgan has authorization to retrieve her by any means necessary. Fletcher replied coolly, and Commander, the Admiral was quite clear that in such a scenario, the righteous Dominion would not survive the encounter. Before Vrekkanar could respond, the view screen split, showing Admiral Morgan alongside Fletcher. Your 30 minutes are nearly up, Commander, she stated. What's your decision? Trapped between Imperial duty and certain destruction. Vrekkanar made the only choice possible. The prisoner will be transferred to your custody. Admiral, but know this, the Empire will not forget this treachery. Good, Morgan replied. And neither will Earth forget the Empire's willingness to execute our people for trying to save lives. She turned to someone off-screen, prepare boarding shuttles and keep weapons hot. The transmission ended, leaving Vrekkanar to contemplate the most humiliating moment of his career. Sir, Grot prompted, shall I prepare the prisoner for transfer? Yes. Vrekkanar replied mechanically, and continue attempting to contact Imperial Command. They must be warned. As his orders were carried, the Empire's retreat out, Vrekkanar moved to the viewport, staring at the human warships with a mixture of rage and reluctant admiration. Humans had played a long, patient game while the Empire dismissed them. As primitive and harmless, they had been building, learning, preparing, but their victory would be short-lived once the Imperial Armada arrived. These human vessels would be reduced to cosmic dust, their colonies would burn, their homeworld would suffer the consequences of defiance. Yet a troubling thought nagged at Vrekkanar's mind. Humans had clearly been preparing this move for years. Was it possible they'd planned for the Empire's retaliation as well? 2 hours later, Vrekkanar watched from the bridge as Dr. Reeves was escorted to an Earth shuttle. The prisoner transfer had proceeded. Without incident, though, the human boarding party had maintained a decidedly hostile posture throughout the process. Prisoner transfer complete, Commander Grot reported. Earth shuttle is returning to their vessel. Any response from Imperial Command? Vrekkanar asked, though he already knew the answer. None, sir. Dex replied. All subspace channels remain. Wait. The communications officer straightened suddenly. Incoming transmission, it's from Imperial headquarters on Zenith Prime. Vrekkanar felt a surge of relief. Finally, proper instructions on screen. The view screen activated to reveal not the expected face of Admiral Crux, but that of a human. A male with silver-streaked dark hair and the insignia of an Earth military officer. What is this? Vrekkanar demanded. Where is Admiral Crux? Admiral Crux is currently indisposed, the human replied calmly. I am General Alexander Frost, commander of Earth's Special Operations Division. I'm transmitting from what was until recently Admiral Crux's command center on Zenith Prime. Vrekkanar felt his world tilt. Sideways, impossible. Zenith Prime is the most heavily defended Imperial outpost in this sector. Was General Frost corrected approximately 6 hours ago. Special Forces teams infiltrated key Imperial installations throughout the sector. Zenith Prime outpost. Traxxas and the Luxor relay station are now under Earth control. This is madness, Vrekkanar whispered. How could you possibly? 20 years? Commander Frost interrupted. 20 years of studying your defenses, your protocols, your weaknesses. 20 years of placing our people in positions throughout your supply chains, maintenance crews, even security forces. The general's expression hardened. 20 years of enduring Imperial justice. While we prepared to claim our freedom, the implications staggered Vrekkanar. If humans had taken Zenith Prime and the other installations Frost mentioned, they had effectively cut off this entire sector from rapid Imperial response. The nearest reinforcements would take days, not hours, to arrive. You have signed your species' death warrant. Vrekkanar said, his voice hollow. When the Emperor learns of this, the Emperor already knows. Frost interrupted again. Simultaneous with our military operations here, Earth diplomats presented our Declaration of Independence to the Imperial Court, along with evidence of certain leverage we've acquired. Leverage? Vix Aaron repeated, dreading the answer. And let's just say that human infiltration teams haven't been limited to this sector. Frost replied with a cold smile. We have placed certain devices at key locations throughout Imperial space, devices that could cause significant damage should full-scale war be declared against Earth. Nuclear weapons. Vix Aaron gasped. Commander Vix Aaron slouched in his command chair, tentacles twitching with boredom as he surveyed the bridge of the Imperial vessel, Righteous Dominion. What a gloriously pompous name for what was, essentially, a glorified patrol boat assigned to this backwater sector. His 8 eyes blinked asynchronously as he sipped the bitter stimulant that kept his 3 hearts pumping through these mind-numbing shifts. Sir, approaching the human colony on Epsilon 9, announced Navigation Officer Krell, her voice carrying the same enthusiasm one might have when announcing the arrival of a tax collector. Wonderful, Vix Aaron muttered, not bothering to mask his sarcasm. Another thrilling day enforcing the Empire's will upon primitive bipeds who can barely manage interplanetary travel. How did we get so lucky? The bridge crew exchanged knowing glances. Everyone aboard the Righteous Dominion knew their assignment to patrol human space was punishment for their commander's political missteps at the Imperial Court. 3 cycles of babysitting the newest most primitive species admitted to the Galactic Empire was apparently the price for suggesting that Emperor Zoran the Magnificent might have slightly exaggerated the size of his cranial ridges. Put the colony on screen, Vix Aaron ordered, straightening his posture slightly. No matter how tedious the assignment, appearances had to be maintained. The Empire demanded at least the pretense of dignity. The view screen flickered to life, displaying the human settlement below. A patchwork of agricultural fields surrounded a central cluster of structures that the humans in their charming simplicity called New Denver. The colony had been established only 15 solar cycles ago, yet the humans had already transformed the once barren plains into productive farmland. Life signs, Vix Aaron asked, more out of protocol than interest. Approximately 200 humans reported. Science Officer Dreas primarily concentrated in the settlement with outlying readings in the agricultural sectors. Vix Aaron's secondary appendages twitched with mild surprise. That's an increase of nearly 400 since our last patrol. These humans, Commander Vix Aaron discovers illegal transmissions, breed like Enzix parasites. They are remarkably efficient at reproduction. Commander Dre agreed, her voice carrying the slightest hint of distaste. Like most species in the Empire Drazes, people reproduce through elaborate spawning rituals that occurred once every 7 cycles. The human method seemed distressingly mammalian and constant by comparison. Any violations to report? Vix Aaron asked, already reaching for the all-clear form. On his datapad, these visits were typically mere formalities. Communications Officer suddenly straightened, his cranial fins flaring, with Alarm Commander detecting unauthorized subspace transmissions from the colony's eastern quadrant. Vix Aeon's tentacles stiffened now. This was interesting. Unauthorized communications. Are they contacting Earth? No, sir. The signal is directed toward the Orion Arm, specifically toward the Proyon system. Vix Aaron felt his 3 hearts quicken. The Proyon system was firmly outside Imperial territory claimed by the Vrekkian Consortium, the Empire's longtime rival. Unauthorized communication with non-Imperial powers was a Class 1 violation of treaty terms. Well, Vix Aaron purred, his mood suddenly improved. It seems our simple human friends are playing a dangerous game. It pinpoint the transmission source, Eastern Quadrant Syra structure, approximately 2 kilometers from the main settlement. Dex reported the transmission contains encrypted data packets. Scientific information from what our decoders can determine. Vix Aaron's facial tentacles curled into what his species considered a smile. Prepare a shuttle security team. Alpha will accompany me to the surface. It's time to remind these humans about the consequences of violating Imperial laws. The shuttle descended through Epsilon 9's atmosphere. Vix Aaron reviewed the colony's file. New Denver had been established primarily as an agricultural outpost, specializing in crops that thrived in the planet's nitrogen-rich soil. The Empire permitted the colony under strict regulations, no military presence, limited technology, and absolutely no unauthorized communication with non-imperial worlds. The humans had been admitted to the Empire only 20 cycles ago after their primitive warp drives had accidentally brought them to the attention of an Imperial survey vessel. Rather than exterminating the potentially troublesome species, as several council members had suggested, Emperor Zoran had magnanimously offered Earth protectorate status. Within the Empire, the alternative, of course, being immediate planetary sterilization. Humans, demonstrating their first glimpse of wisdom, had accepted landing zone in sight. Commander announced the pilot as the shuttle broke through a layer of clouds. Below, the human settlement spread out like a crude diagram drawn by a particularly untalented child. Unlike the elegant spiral configurations of proper Imperial colonies, humans built in rigid, inefficient grids land near the transmission source, Vix. Aaron ordered and alert the colony administrator of our arrival. Let's observe protocol, even Dr. Reeves's arrest and charges if the humans cannot. The shuttle settled onto a flat, cleared area that humans optimistically called a landing pad. As the ramp extended, Vix Aaron adjusted his ceremonial armor and checked his sidearm. Not that he anticipated resistance. Humans were physically weak and properly fearful of Imperial authority, but appearances mattered. A small delegation waited at the base of the ramp. At the front stood Administrator Thomas Fletcher, a stocky human male whose facial hair had grown more grayish since Vixarin's last visit. Beside him stood his aide Amara Okafor, a tall female whose dark skin always made Vixar wonder if humans were actually multiple species somehow coexisting. The notion was bizarre yet fascinating. Commander Vic Aaron Fletcher called out, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. This is unexpected. Our scheduled inspection isn't for another 30 days. The Empire doesn't require schedules to monitor its protectorates, Administrator Vix Aaron replied coolly. Perhaps if you reviewed the Protectorate Governance Charter more carefully, you'd recall that provision. Butcher's artificial smile faltered. Of course. Commander, how may we assist you today? Vex Aaron stepped forward, towering over the humans by nearly a meter. His security team flanked him, their tentacles resting casually on their weapons. We have detected unauthorized subspace transmissions from your colony administrator, specifically communications directed toward Proyon. The color drained from Fletcher's face beside him. Adid Okafor stiffened visibly. There must be some mistake, Fletcher said, his voice steady despite his obvious distress. All our communications are logged and submitted for Imperial review as required. And yet, Vix Aaron purred, enjoying himself immensely. Our sensors don't lie. The transmission originated from a structure 2 kilometers east of here. He extended a tentacle, pointing toward a cluster of buildings barely visible on the horizon. Scientific data encrypted. Care to explain? Fletcher and Okafor exchanged glances that even Vex Aaron, with his limited understanding of human facial expressions, could interpret as panic. That's our research station, Fletcher admitted reluctantly. But it's only authorized for agricultural studies, improving crop yields, adapting Earth species to Epsilon 9's ecosystem. Nothing that would interest the Vexians? I will be the judge of what interests our enemies, Vix Aaron snapped. Take me there. Now the journey to the research station was uncomfortably silent. Aaron Fletcher and Okafor rode in a human ground vehicle, a crude contraption that bumped and jolted across the uneven terrain. The security team followed in a separate vehicle, alert for any signs of trouble. You should know, Commander Fletcher finally said, breaking the silence, that our research here benefits the Empire. Increased agricultural output means more resources for Imperial markets. Show generous of you. Vixarin replied dryly. And I suppose sharing this beneficial research with the Vexian consortium was merely an act of universal goodwill. Fletcher flinched. Commander, I assure you, save your assurances for the tribunal. Administrator Vix Aaron interrupted. If Earth's surprising response, there's been a violation, there will be consequences. Imperial law is quite clear on this matter. The research station, when they arrived, proved disappointingly unremarkable for a collection of prefabricated structures, surrounded by experimental fields. It looked precisely like what Fletcher had claimed, an agricultural research facility. As they approached the main building, a group of humans emerged, scientists judging by their attire. At the front stood a small female with hair the color of Rexian flame crystals. Her expression was defiant rather than fearful, which immediately raised Vikarin's suspicions. Dr. Talia Reeves. Fletcher said, his voice tight. Head of our research division, Commander Vix Aaron, has some questions about unauthorized transmissions. The female Dr. Reeves met Vix Aaron's gaze steadily. What transmissions? Don't insult my intelligence. Dr. Vix Aaron said, our sensors detected subspace communications directed toward Proyon encrypted scientific data. He leaned forward, his facial tentacles flaring. That the transmission originated from this facility. Something flickered across Reeves' face. Resignation. Perhaps I see, Talia Fletcher whispered urgently. What have you done? Dr. Reeves straightened her posture. What needed to be done? Administrator, she turned to face Vix. Aaron. Yes, Commander, we sent data to Proyon, agricultural data, specifically information about a fungal strain that's threatening crops across 3 human colonies. And why? Vix Aaron asked, his voice dangerously soft. Would you send this information to the Rexian Consortium, rather than through proper Imperial channels because the Empire didn't respond? Dr. Reeves snapped her composure. Cracking we sub. Entire Empire over a plant disease. People will die. Dr. Reeves insisted humans will die. Vix Aaron corrected the distinction the Empire finds significant, if not particularly concerning. Fletcher stepped forward. Commander, please. Dr. Reeves acted without authorization. She will be disciplined. Internally, I assure you, internal discipline is insufficient for treason. Administrator Vix Aaron replied coldly. Imperial law is clear. Unauthorized communication with non-imperial powers carries a mandatory sentence of public execution. The humans froze their faces, displaying various shades of horror. It was almost comical. Execution, Fletcher whispered. But that's not possible. The Treaty of Soul explicitly prohibits the treaty, prohibits random or mass extermination of humans. Vix Aaron corrected, it does not exempt humans from standard imperial justice. He gestured to his security team, detained Dr. Reeves, and any other personnel involved in the transmission. The security team moved forward. Weapons raised. Dr. Reeves, surprisingly, did not resist as they bound her limbs with restraint fields. Commander Okafor spoke. For the first time, her voice remarkably calm. Surely the situation warrants leniency. Dr. Reeves was attempting to save lives by violating our most basic security protocols. Vix Aaron laughed. The Vexians could easily have used this communication channel to insert surveillance software into your systems. They could be monitoring everything in this colony as we speak. They are not. Dr. Reeves insisted. We used a one-time transmission protocol specifically to prevent silence. Vix Aaron hissed, you will have plenty of time to explain your actions at your trial. Though I wouldn't waste energy on defense arguments. The evidence is irrefutable, and the sentence is fixed. As the security team led Dr. Reeves away, Vix Aaron noticed something disturbing in the eyes of the remaining humans. Not fear as expected, but something colder. Something calculating. For a brief moment he wondered if he'd underestimated these primitives, then he dismissed the thought. Humans were emotional, impulsive creatures. They might resent imperial justice, but they understood their place in the grand hierarchy. They would accept this as they had. The arrival of human warships, accepted. All imperial dictates. What choice did they have back aboard the righteous Dominion? Vix Aaron composed his report to Imperial Command. The incident was minor truly, but it provided a welcome break from routine. Perhaps it would even earn him a commendation, and a step toward reassignment to a more prestigious post-trial. Preparations complete. Commander Security Chief Grott reported. The accused has been processed and placed in detention. Excellent, Vix Aaron replied. Schedule the proceedings for tomorrow's first light. I want the colony to witness the consequences of defiance. Sir, Communications Officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. Priority 1. Vix Aaron's tentacles twitched with surprise. Earth put it through the view screen, flickered, revealing the stern face of Ambassador Lyra Martinez, humanity's representative to the Imperial Court. Her expression was perfectly composed, but Vix Aaron detected an underlying tension. Commander Vix Aaron, Ambassador Martinez said, skipping the customary pleasantries. I have been informed that you have detained a human citizen for trial and potential execution. Is this correct, Ambassador? Vix Aaron replied, smoothly. Dr. Talia Reeves has been detained for unauthorized communication with The Vrekkian Consortium, a clear violation of Imperial security protocols. The law prescribes execution for such offenses I'm aware of. Imperial Law Commander Martinez said, her voice frigid. I'm also aware of the supplementary provisions in the Treaty of Sol, specifically Amendment 12, Paragraph 3, which states that human citizens accused of Imperial crimes are entitled to representation from Earth's legal council before any proceedings can commence. Vex. Aaron felt a flutter of irritation. Ambassador, surely you don't intend to dispatch legal counsel across 17 light years for a clear-cut case of treason? That's precisely what I intend, Commander Martinez replied. So shuttle departed Earth 6 hours ago. It will arrive at Tepsilon 9 in approximately 72 hours utilizing our new accelerated drive system. But Xeron's irritation deepened. The humans had been making troubling advances in propulsion technology, advances the Empire monitored closely. The trial cannot wait. 72 hours. Ambassador, Imperial justice must be swift. Imperial justice must be lawful. Commander. Martinez countered, proceeding without proper representation would constitute a violation of the Treaty of Sol, a treaty signed by Emperor Zoran himself. Vix Aaron felt trapped. Violating a treaty signed by the Emperor would be politically disastrous, potentially worse than his previous misstep regarding the Imperial cranial ridges, yet delaying the trial seemed equally problematic. Very well, Ambassador Heffenly conceded the trial will be postponed until the arrival of Earth's representative, but the outcome remains inevitable. The evidence is irrefutable. Ambassador Martinez's expression remained neutral. We shall see Commander Earth out as the transmission ended. Vic Aaron slumped in his command chair. His earlier good mood thoroughly soured. Humans were becoming increasingly troublesome as protectorates. Perhaps those council members who had advocated for their extermination had been right after all. Sir Great prompted your orders. Regarding the prisoner, Vix Aaron waved a tentacle dismissively. Maintain detention protocols and increase surveillance on the colony. I want to know if they are planning anything stupid. Yes, Commander, as the crew returned to their duties. Vic Aaron stared at the view screen which now displayed the slowly rotating planet below Epsilon 9. Looked peaceful, harmless. But Vix Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had been set in motion, something that might prove far more consequential than Fletcher reveals humanity's secret preparations. A simple case of unauthorized communication. How right he was, though not in any way he could have possibly imagined. 71 hours and 23 minutes after Ambassador Martinez's transmission, Vix Aaron found himself pacing the Righteous Dominion's bridge like a caged predator. His tentacles twitched with nervous energy as he periodically glanced at the long-range scanners. Any sign of the Earth vessel? He demanded for the 12th time in as many minutes. Nothing yet, Commander, replied Sensor Officer PL. Her voice carefully neutral. The entire crew had been walking on eggshells around Vex Aaron since the incident with Dr. Reeves began. They should be arriving soon. Vix Aaron muttered. Prepare a greeting party. I want security. Personnel present when their representative board. Security Chief Grott nodded. Security teams are standing by, sir, though I must note that, according to protocol 359, Earth representatives are entitled to meet with their accused without Imperial oversight. Vix Aaron hissed in frustration. I'm aware of the protocols, Chief, but protocols can be flexibly interpreted. When security concerns arises, contact on long-range sensors. Plex suddenly announced, her voice rising with alarm. It's unexpected. The Earth vessel. Vix Aaron turned toward the view screen. No, Commander, it's larger. Much larger. The view screen flickered to life, displaying a vessel that made Vixar's 3 hearts nearly stop. It wasn't the expected diplomatic shuttle. What emerged from subspace was a warship, sleek, angular, and unmistakably human in design, but it was impossible. Humans weren't permitted military vessels of that class under the Treaty of Sol. That can't be right, Vix. Aaron whispered. Magnify the image. Zoomed in, revealing the vessel in greater detail. The hull bore the emblem of Earth's unified government alongside a designation. EDF retribution. Impossible. Vix Aaron hissed. The treaty explicitly prohibits human military vessels above Class 3. That's at least a Class 7 warship. Sir, Communications Officer interrupted, his voice tight. We are being hailed by the Earth vessel Vix. Aaron's mind raced. This was a clear treaty violation, one that could justify immediate military response. But the Righteous Dominion was a patrol vessel, not a battleship. Against a Class 7 warship, they stood no chance. Open a channel, he ordered, straightening his posture. Whatever game the humans were playing, he would not show weakness. The view screen shifted. Tori Veal, a human female in a crisp black uniform adorned with gold insignia. Her hair was pulled back severely, and her eyes held the cold calculation of a seasoned predator. "Commander Vix Aaron," she said, not bothering with pleasantries. "I am Admiral Helena Morgan of the Earth Defense Force. I am here to retrieve Dr. Talia Reeves." Vix Aaron forced his facial, the prisoner transfer standoff tentacles to remain still, masking his shock. "Admiral," he replied, infusing his voice with as much authority as he could muster. "Your vessel violates 17 separate provisions of the Treaty of Sol. Imperial law demands immediate surrender, and let me stop you." "Right there," Commander Admiral Morgan interrupted. "The Treaty of Sol is no longer in effect." A cold sensation washed over Vix Aaron's exoskeleton. "Explain." 3 days ago, the Earth government formally dissolved our protectorate status with the Galactic Empire. Morgan stated flatly. The dissolution notice was delivered to the Imperial Court by Ambassador Martinez precisely 1 hour after my vessel departed Earth space. "That's not possible." Vix Aaron sputtered. "Protectorate status cannot be unilaterally dissolved, Emperor. The Emperor's opinion is no longer